Hello, listeners, if you're listening. This is episode 61 of Double Crossed Anime. I'm Whooper,
And I'm Mario.
and today we're going to get into the new season, which started, I guess, a couple weeks ago, maybe even a few weeks ago. Different for different shows. We've got two episodes of O Maidens in Your Savage Season, episode 15 of Mix, number 2 of Fire Force, and number 2 of Vinland Saga. Even though the first 3 episodes of Vinland Saga are already out, we're just going to go one at a time until we catch up. And then we've also got 5 episodes, the first 5, of Heidi, Girl of the Alps, the 1974 Isao Takahata directed World Masterpiece Theater series.
Is it just a question first? Is it before or after the Future Boy Conan?
5 years
So,
before.
all right, wow.
As you can probably tell from the sound quality, which is horrendous.
It was alright. I don't mind that much.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It's listenable, and it's excusable based on the time in which it was recorded. Nevertheless, by modern standards, it's just it's bad.
All right.
But that's okay because the show is charming in most other departments, I feel. But we'll
Yep,
get to that.
that's right.
Which other show should we start with, do you think?
I think let's start with the one that got delayed this week. So we only get like one episode from last week, which
Right.
is Fire Force.
Do you want to get into the reason why it was delayed just briefly?
Yep. So the that it's really a sad news to hear that like the studio Kyoto Animations got burned down by just some assassins, some guy who
Yes.
just basically burned the place down for no reason. It's it's really sad to hear basically,
Yeah.
and it I think it caused like 30 something 33 34 people dead.
Right. Yeah. Um, no, it's not their. They have multiple studios. They have multiple buildings.
Yep.
But I,
But
I
this is
believe
the
this
main
was their
one.
main. Yes, it
Yep.
is their main building where a lot of their episode directors and like animation supervisors worked. So key
Hey.
staff probably
And
dead.
and they still haven't like announced the name, right? Or we just
Yeah.
don't know about that yet.
The reports are coming out individually. I don't think they've
Oh.
compiled a list of victims. Um, I mean, to be honest, I mean this is a bit gruesome, but it may be that it's hard to identify them because there was a
Yep.
fire.
Yep.
Um, so, the obviously the biggest loss is the
And,
lives that were lost.
yep. And the
But
studio
it's gonna
itself.
impact it's gonna impact the studio as well, like their output going forward. Um, so that was the reason for Fire Force number three's delay.
Yep.
There is,
Um.
I guess we should mention there is a GoFundMe set up online, for
Oh,
Kyoto Animation.
I did that
It's
actually.
Yeah, I saw that you donated. That's cool.
Yep.
Um, it's
I,
it's past 1.8 million dollars at this point. But
right.
it appears to be going strong still. So if you are listening to this and you feel
One.
compelled to give, or you have already,
Yep.
that'd be excellent.
And
Anyway,
I just hope that the studio will be back on their feet soon. I hope like nothing major have lost, or they will bounce back on that. I think Japan is one of the country that really known for their ability to bounce back.
well, yeah, that's because they kill themselves working.
Yep. So
Hopefully, Kyoto. Let's try KyoAni instead
yep.
of the full name. Hopefully, KyoAni does not kill themselves in an attempt to get back on schedule as soon as possible. I hope they
Yep.
take the time they need. I don't know if that's something that Japan's work culture would really allow for, but for them it might be a little different.
Yep.
Hopefully so.
All right. Let's just go to the Five Forks episodes.
Okay.
Um, I enjoyed the second one. It's not. as bombastic as the first one, and I feel like the conversations is more awkward than funny at times.
I think that might be due to like the show's cadence, its
Oh,
general rhythm.
yep.
Don't you feel as though in some like conversations and some exchanges of dialogue, there are like gaps,
Yeah. That's right. That's what I feel as
and
well.
that was an issue in the first episode as well.
Mm.
So the you know it
It's like
cropped up again in this one, and I
it's
think that's
like
down to the director.
it's like awkward silence,
Yeah.
awkward gap. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not sure that it was like it's like intended to be there. I feel as though I don't know, perhaps in the storyboarding process, not enough or perhaps I should say too much time is given to different scenes.
Mm.
They don't have like let's say a full episode kind of storyboarded out, so they have to stretch it
Oh.
in
Mm.
some spots, and this may be because they're putting a little bit more manpower and effort into each individual scene
Mm-hmm.
because it is kind of animation intensive, the show's style.
Yep.
So they just may not. They may be doing less, like more work on fewer scenes, and as a result, they need to be padded a little bit.
Maybe that was an issue too, or maybe it's just the director himself. So the director was involved too in Monogatari before, right?
Was he? I don't know.
I,
I mean,
I,
that would
I
make sense because there's a lot of Shaft staff on this show.
yeah, I just heard about that. I'm not really sure about that, but I can
I
see
thought
like the
Shinbo directed all the Monogatari's.
yeah, and Simbo and one other guy. I'm
Ah,
not really sure. This guy I'm not really sure though.
I mean, I
Uh,
looked at this guy's filmography before, and he's something of a rookie. He's only been like a head
oh,
director on one or two other series, if
all
memory
right.
serves.
Because I can see like the visual, especially on those conversations, remind me of a lot of Shaft.
Oh yes, I
So
agree. Yes.
yep. So like they can go to from one conversation to another, so from one exchange to another, they can switch to like the chibi style, switch to like some of the character expression, like it really remind me of Sharp.
The main thing that reminds me of Shaft are like the medium shots that are
Mm-hmm.
done in the Kagenashi style, where there's no shading on the characters. They're just kind of grayed out
Yep.
in uniform, and there are
Mm-hmm.
no facial features.
Mm.
Like the face will be completely blank, no eyes, nothing, and we'll still get dialogue, but the emphasis visually is on their surroundings.
Yep. Yep.
I've seen that in Shaft, like Shaft Productions, plenty of times, and I'm not even a big fan of the studio. Like I've only seen probably 4 or 5 of their works, uh, but I recognize that straight away,
Right.
and I like it. Like I like the style. I just feel as though the rhythm of the show is a little bit off.
Mm. All right. What do you think? What do you feel about the new characters, the newcomer this week?
Oh right, what's his name? Arthur.
Outer. Yep.
Yeah, because he's got a
The
sword.
knight. Yep.
And he keeps talking about kings.
At Outer
Um,
Boyle.
Arthur Boyle.
Yep. That's in Conan Boy, I think.
Ah. Okay. You mean Sir Conan Doyle?
Yeah, I think. Oh, Conan Doyle. All right.
I
I
don't know.
thought
I
they.
I could have the name wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, Boyle is that kind of sounds like his last name. Doyle is just the last name of a different fictional character. What do
Yeah.
I think about him? I don't know. I think it's expected that a shonen series would introduce a rival so quickly.
Yep.
I like his character design. I like all the character designs. I really, really like the line work of this
Right.
show.
Yep.
It makes the characters pop whenever they're on screen. I think the very last scene of this episode, where the two guys were like, because they live at the dorm in the firehouse,
Yep.
where they were talking, in the bunk beds. I have no idea what was going on in that scene. That must have been entirely cultural. Um, like Shinra would say ah, and then he would follow up by saying Night King or King Knight.
Oh,
Do you
I
remember
think
this?
yeah. I think that's like some sort of workplace. I'm not really
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. So I don't really get it either. But he tried to do that several times in these episodes.
yeah,
Whenever he want to announce that he's the knight. So like the 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 punch will be like he's the knight.
right. However, it was like the subtlety, the nuance of it, or even
Oh,
just the meaning of it was totally lost on me. Like,
yep.
and I don't think it was presented in a way that people who didn't understand the pun could get in on it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like it was strictly um, linguistic and not
Mm-hmm.
at all a visual thing. So that left me totally cold on the final scene. But it is cool that he has the plasma sword, and that he has that kind of character trait of being like chivalrous because he wants to be a knight, and he talks about how you know women are maidens and all that ridiculous stuff. Like his character stands out. I think the show did its job in introducing him.
Yep. Um, regarding the case in this episodes, I think it's make a good contrast compared to the first episodes where like the victim of this week he's like he try his best to control his situations. So
Right,
like
he just sits in the chair. You
yeah,
mean?
drinking tea. Oh,
Oh, was he?
maybe he was drinking tea before he
He
was
turned into an infernal.
yeah, yep, that's right.
Yeah, it's true. It's the polar opposite, really.
Yep.
Um, in the first episode, the victim became violent,
Mm-hmm.
and the family member was like, "Please put her to rest."
Yep.
In this one, the family member can't deal with the fact that her father has turned into an infernal,
Yep.
but the infernal himself is just placidly sitting in a chair, and he's not exactly waiting for death because you kind of lose your consciousness, it seems, when you turn
Mm-hmm.
into an infernal. You're no longer human.
Mm-hmm.
um, but he is just sitting there, and he sees the firefighters arrive, and he doesn't try to defend himself.
Yep.
So
So
yeah, nice that we get a completely different story this week.
that's right. And it's more just of a story about the victim as well. Sorry, not about the victim, the one who stay behind,
The daughter.
the daughter. Yeah. So it's more
Yep.
about like their responsibility, not to kill those infernos, but to um uh, assist the one who still stay behind as well.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, for the meaning, I think like this episode, especially the case, have its meanings. I feel though they already hint about the tournaments going on, the rookie tournaments.
Yeah, the rookie tournament that is mentioned. I actually didn't even put that down in my notes looking over them here. Um, but yeah, I do remember that. And I'm sure there's going to be a tournament arc like straight away. They can show off more of the
Y-
fire animation that people
Yep.
are no doubt watching the show to see.
And
Um,
the bounce back, the chemistry between the two guys as well.
right. Yeah, I'm sure that they'll face off in the tournament at some point.
Yep. Many people compare like this chemistry between this guy Shinra and Arthur. It's like the ones in My Hero Academia. How do you take on that?
I mean, I think that makes sense. Although I can't, neither of them are as grating to me as Bakugo was in that show. Who
Great thing
just,
you say.
yeah, grating, yeah.
Yeah.
Who screamed nonstop and was just really, really bothersome to follow in the story, in my opinion.
Right. Yep. All right.
Neither of these guys have reached that point for me. But we've got plenty of time for their characters to go down the toilet. You know, this is only episode 2.
Right.
One thing I do want to mention is the fact that both of them were taken out by Maki,
Oh yeah.
who, despite being, you know, they have the different like generations of firefighters.
Yep.
Despite the fact that she's second generation and they're third, so she's less powerful. She's physically stronger and like mentally stronger, so she's able to defeat them.
Yep.
Her character has its its own kind of tropes to it, but they also present them somewhat creatively. The thing that sticks out in my mind is the caution tape that was put up
Oh yeah, the
around
caution
all.
tape. Yep.
Yeah, like it was put up around the people who weren't involved in the fight, kind of as a barricade. But
Yep.
then the show multiple times when she was like when people were calling her a gorilla,
Yep.
or whatever, they were just doing something to get on her nerves or on her
Yep.
case. The caution tape would snap.
Yep.
So that was a very Shaft thing
That's
to do.
right.
I feel is to represent someone's emotional state using an object like that.
Yep. It is really Monogatari style.
Yeah, I guess it is. I haven't seen too much of the Gatari series, but yeah, I guess it is. So I thought that was creative.
Yep. So basically, like the third generations, they are more talented, but
They can control fire without, like they can generate
create.
it.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
they can
right.
create
Yep.
it. Yeah. So yeah, I suppose it's fair to say that they're more talented. They have an additional talent that second generations don't. They need fire starters.
Yep. Yep.
And then you got people like Captain Obi, who, he has to wear a fire suit because he can't control fire at all.
Mhm.
It's an interesting mix of ability levels, I guess.
That's right. Well,
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to the next episode.
me too.
It's
Not.
still early.
Yep. It's fun to find the animation is still crazy.
Yeah. I mean, this episode was slightly subdued, like you said, but we do
Yep.
have the rookie tournament coming up, so
Yep.
it's about to heat up.
Oh my god.
Oh, just imagine the number of fire and heat related puns that you can use when talking about this show.
Yep. I'm on fire.
This show is on fire. That episode was flames.
Jesus Christ. All right. Should we get to the next shows then?
Yeah.
All right. Which one you want to pick?
I don't know. The next show in my notes is Vinland Saga.
All right. Let's go with Vinland Saga.
This is episode
The-
2.
The episode 2, I must say, is I enjoyed that much more than the first episodes.
Really?
Yep.
I think I had the opposite reaction. So what did you enjoy more about it than the first one?
Well, I can see where the story going. For one thing, I can see the conflict that they are built up right now, and I think gonna be resolved in the next one. This episode we see Thorfinn and we see Thor and his son Thorfinn more as well, and we see how their like how their personality, not personality, how there's the way they think about war clash. So this is a really good episode for me. Like I'm really thrilled and really wanted to see like how the third episode gonna deal with all that.
Right.
How about you?
Okay. Yeah, it is true. I mean, the number one thing that this episode accomplishes is it kind of deepens the blueprint laid out by the first episode, or
Yep.
adds to it quite significantly, because
Yep.
Floki is introduced and we learn about the war between the English and the Danish,
Yep.
and how the Vikings are gonna, what their role is gonna be in that war.
Yep.
But I mean, honestly, I really liked the way that the setting was established in the first episode,
Hmm.
and this one did seem to be more about, it was more about Thor's. It was more about his past catching up with him.
Yep.
That's good. There's nothing wrong with that at all, and it's tragic. The 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 fact that he escaped war like 15 years ago, and
Yep.
it's now coming back to haunt him, and it's going to impact his family and his community.
Hmm.
However, I think I preferred the way that the first episode hinted at that
Yep.
than I preferred that to the way that episode 2 like expounded upon it.
Yep. I
But
I
I
can
don't
see
think this
that.
episode put a foot out of line. I don't think it made a mistake.
Yep.
It's probably just personal preference.
Um, what I really like about the idea of these episodes is like how Thor try his best to avoid the upcoming war, but like almost everyone in his village, they really want to join the war. They really want to prove themselves,
Hmm.
and they are the and it also show that they are really like inexperienced, and they just want like some sort of recognitions. So even to Thorfinn himself, like he too young to join the world, but he really answers to be there as well.
Yes. And I think there's a really important point laid out in the beginning of the episode when the kids are doing all those mock fights
Yep.
with like the wooden swords and things. There's a moment when Thorfinn wonders to himself, will my mom and my sister be able to get into Valhalla?
Yep.
Will they be able to join me in the afterlife even though they're not warriors?
Yep.
So even though Thorfinn is, as a child, he is very egocentric. He's focusing mostly on himself.
Yep.
But he also loves his family, and he's not just concerned about, war as an excuse for killing, or for his own glory. He has Valhalla in mind, and he has his family in mind as well. He feels like this is something that he is supposed to do, probably because of the place in which he was brought up. I mean, as you mentioned, everyone is like very eager to go to war after Floki brings news that it's coming. So, like, Thorfinn's childishness is maintained, even though he's kind of he sets himself against his father later in the episode. So there's tragedy brewing, for sure. I can't imagine that Thor's
Uh,
is going to survive.
well, it's interesting that like I take that scene differently. I just take that scene like as a way to comment like how men, because they are warriors, when they die they will this ascends to Valhalla,
Hmm.
as in women, because they're not a warrior, so he just not sure that if they will go to heaven or not.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He is concerned about them. Like,
Right.
it occurs to him as he's lying down in the snow because he's dead in the mock battle.
Yep.
He really wants to be in Valhalla because he's probably been told, that's where you should go when you die. Like, think about Christian
Yep.
children who are told you want to go to heaven when you
Yep.
die.
Mm-hmm.
But it still occurs to him, I wonder if I'll see my mom and my sister there. I wonder if they can get into Valhalla.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
So he's still a little boy. He still thinks about his family.
Yep. And the fact that like it it's just a side note actually, but the fact that like the villagers really eager to join the war, to
Yeah.
basically like basically just for glory of just prove themselves. It remind me a whole lot to Australia in the World War I, when they basically just joined their mother countries, which is England, to participate in the war that that have nothing to do with us.
Right.
So I think it's just kind of like the same thing here. And yep, it's just
Yeah.
history.
It just has to do with how war is portrayed, how it's propagandized, how it's thought of
Yep.
generally.
Hmm.
Um, you know, people like countries when they go to war they need men,
Yep.
or women, as the case may be. They need people, they need bodies to fight for them.
Yep.
And so the government or your like the leaders of your local community, whoever it may be, they push that idea, and people
Mm.
get caught up in it because, you know, you're promised you're promised glory, you're promised like heroism, I guess.
Yep.
So yeah, it
So
is
that's
sad,
that's
and
just
Thor's hangs his head and like walks away as Floki is leaving and the village is celebrating. You can see Thor's walking away from everyone, and his
right.
like his shoulders, his giant shoulders, because he's a monster of a man.
Yep.
Uh, he hangs his head in disappointment and walks away.
Right. It the final twist that doesn't really do me much. Um, but yeah, I can still I still anticipating on what the event gonna go.
Oh, you didn't like the scene where Floki pays Askeladd,
Yep.
or they're talking. What to me that was one of the best parts of the episode. What was so disappointing about it?
Um, I I would love to see them actually join the war, and how and to see like how the reality like just slap them in the face, and how Thor like trying to protect everyone and die because of that. I think we will get all that in the in the next episodes. But like by revealing that like this is all just a plan in order to kill Thor especially, and
Although
and
the war is real.
the war is real, but like this is the setup, like for for the guy that we see later on, to kill him, to kill Thor, because he basically deserted the kingdom 15 years ago.
Yeah, the
So
Yoms Vikings.
yeah, that's right. So I think that was a bit like too much of like a bit too force of the plot.
Well, what would you rather they do? Like
Uh,
Askeladd shows up out of nowhere and kills Thor's?
no, no, I just rather like they actually like like coming to the war fighting the England, the English men, and like they all die because of that. Basically,
Okay.
they were overnumbered, overwhelmed, and like everything. They just lose. That's what I were initially expected.
Well, Vinland Saga is a historical drama, and apparently it is a fairly accurate one. So,
Mm.
I mean, the character of Thor's, I doubt that he was a real man,
Hmm.
um, or Askeladd,
Yep.
But depending on the outcome of the battle, like the Vikings fighting alongside the Danes against the English, it's not gonna. I don't believe it's gonna divert from what actually happened in history.
Mm.
So,
Yep.
like if the Vikings are if the Vikings win, or the Danish win, then everyone dying, all the Vikings dying would not be realistic.
Yep. All right. So yep, that's just a really small concerns. But otherwise, I really enjoyed these episodes.
Yeah. I
Let
mean,
let's say, yep.
go ahead.
Let's say more about the relationship between Thor and Thorfinn.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the no one has any enemies scene.
Yep. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's the one where you can see that Thorfinn kind of sets himself against his father.
Right.
He says, "You're lying, I can tell." Because that's the thing that like I keep saying the word tragedy, but the thing that's actually tragic is that Thor's cannot reliably communicate this message of pacifism to his son
Mm-hmm.
because he has been forced back into service. He's going
Mm-hmm.
back to war, so it's not as though he can say to Thorfinn, a
Yep.
child, you know,
Yep.
war is bad.
Yep.
No one is your enemy.
Yep.
Because Thorfinn will turn it around on him, But Dad,
Yep.
you're going to war.
Yep.
Um, that's
And
that's a nice scene. There's no one who it's okay to hurt. Is
yep.
his message, and I wonder, how long it will take Thorfinn to process that, if he ever does. That may be lost on him, for the rest of his life, depending on how the story unfolds.
Yep. And that class of that class of thinking was already laid out in the first episodes,
Yeah.
where Thorfinn were concerned about the story of his ancestry just run away
Right.
from the I think the Swedish Empire, I think so.
Something
Not sure.
like that. I don't know.
Yep. So yeah, and his father was saying that like it's alright, like we run away because we want to live, or something along that line.
Yeah, but that was something Thorfinn had trouble accepting.
Yep, that's right. So I think the whole journey of Thorfinn in the future is basically the story how he learned to learn from his father's perspective, like the whole thing. So basically, it's gonna be a long way for him to really come up with his father perspective that we see in this first and second episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Vinland Saga is a long-running manga, and we're getting, something like 24, 26 episodes for Vinland
Yep.
Saga.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that we're going to reach a point where, by the end of those 26 episodes, he thinks to himself, my dad was right all along.
Yep. No. No.
I'm sure that he's going to be an angry young man still by the end of like 2 cores.
Which is not a bad thing because if they go in by act like berserks, it is, I think it's alright.
Yeah, it's fine as long as the show carries on, But even if it doesn't, the manga is.
Mhm.
I mean, I can't imagine it not carrying on.
Yep.
So it probably will.
You have any other notes with the show?
Just small ones. We can move on.
Alright. Alright, so we can get to the next one then.
All right. What should that be?
Either Araburu or Mix.
I think mix will be fast if we do that.
Alright, let's go with Mix.
Man, I was disappointed by this episode.
Because it's too much sport.
Well, I mean, that contributes, but mainly I thought it was just boring looking. Like, the action moments in a baseball game are
Yep.
few and far between already, but Mix cheaps out on those even in this episode.
That's right. Actually, the climax of the match was playing off screen. We didn't see like the guy hit the ball at all.
Yeah, that's actually the main thing I wanted to talk about with regards to this episode is the way that the baseball game concluded, because that's something that Adachi tends to do. Is he won't show you what you'd expect to be shown
Yep.
during the conclusion of a sporting, a match, a game.
Right.
Instead, he'll pick a character to focus on. For example,
Ye-
in the previous episode, it was the mom that he cut away from the game and showed the mom coming back from the grocery store
Yep.
with the the introduction to baseball book, and then she had that talk with her dead husband.
Mm.
In this episode, it focuses on a senior, like a 12th grader from the opposing team.
Yep.
And it's the summer tournament, so this is his last chance. This is Kenjo's last chance, as like this particular group of players before the seniors all go off and graduate.
Yep.
And
And
like
he.
it just focuses on the way that his dreams are crushed.
Yep.
That's how it chooses to conclude the game.
Not.
So I thought that was what's your take on that?
Well. Not even like. They focus on his dream of crush, as you say, but not even but through his perspective. It was through the coach perspective, and he's like one of my least favorite characters in like the whole things. He just not a good characters.
The coach?
No, the guy, the 12th grade guy, but
Oh, yeah.
he just like he just plain, just to say like
I don't think he's playing. He has a lot of
Alright.
personality.
really be all right. I just
Yeah.
don't care about him basically.
Well, remember, we saw him in the previous episode as well. He was antagonizing the pitcher, I think, on his own
Right.
team.
Right? I didn't remember him at all during the last episodes.
Yeah,
Like for me, he just pop up.
we saw him in the last episode.
Right.
I think after the beanball where the Kenjo pitcher threw it right at Toma and it hit him. I'm pretty sure that guy, the 12th grade guy, made some sort of comment to the pitcher,
All right.
like a sarcastic one.
Yep.
So that kind of established him as, maybe the black sheep of the team.
Yep.
But then we see this different side of him in this game, and the thing that makes me so interested in it is that he's the one who loses the game for the other team, not just in the fact that he can't get on base
Yep.
when there are 2 outs in the top of the 9th.
Yep.
But he's also I believe that he's the right fielder who lets
He was the one.
he dives for the ball, and as a result he misses it. He can't get it back to home plate to stop the 2 runs, the go ahead runs.
Yep. He was the one.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting for because he his stunt may have lost the game for his team. I just thought that was an interesting choice.
I'm not too fond of that choice. I would rather the show focus on some of the main characters during that. So like even like the main hitter guys on the opposing team. What his name again? Even that guy. Tomohito. If even him would be nicer than this guy.
We did
But-
get a little bit of Tomohito at home.
Yep. And he's still like having a clash with his brother. And I don't know what the deal is because I like remember I mentioned you last week that he might go to Manchester. I don't think that's the case now.
It might still be, honestly. The show might just be taking its time with his redemption, if it even chooses to go that route.
Right. Because I just remember like a mention from Cross Game that the main the main hitter guide from that show said like the only thing that he regrets staying in that school is that he not be opposing, he not be like the opponent of of the main guys
of Ko.
pictures. Yeah. So I think this show is not gonna go the same route with that. But seriously, I just the mangaka, he just kind of like repeating all his stuff, all his story, all his thread ever all over again. So I'm not really sure anymore.
Well, Akira wasn't that villainous in Cross Game, from what I remember.
No, he's
He
not.
was just kind of standoffish at first.
Yeah, but
This guy Tomohito is like he's brutal. Like
yeah,
the
but
way that he bullies his younger brother
yeah,
is
but
terrible. I don't want this shirt now that you've worn it. Like
yeah,
that's a very authentic sounding thing for a brother to say to another if you really want to hurt the other one.
that's right. But remember, even like the our two brothers did comment about like him feeling not as brutal that show make him out to be. Oh, not show the other guy.
So Ichido, he says he doesn't seem to be as bad of a guy as you said.
Yeah, that's right. So like I think there's still space for to develop his characters. But
Yeah,
I
I can't imagine that the show will abandon him now.
yep,
And
agree.
how else do you really bring him into the fold other than bringing him on with Meisei? Like I think they're in their 10th grade year now, the Tachibana brothers.
Mm.
Perhaps he'll join them for the 11th grade year.
Because I have a feeling that this former sumo tech um gonna be like in the finals, like they're gonna
They already
repeat like
they already
repeat the whole.
lost.
No, so not this year, like the next one, or even in 12 in their
Ah,
12 great years,
yeah.
because I think they're gonna try to replicate the 40 years before, 50 years, whatever.
30
30.
from
Right.
touch. Yeah.
Yeah, from Dutch. I have the
Perhaps.
feeling they're gonna do that, and in order to do that, this boy gonna stay.
Yeah, well maybe. But I am interested to know, why I maybe they're also stepbrothers, Tomohito and Ryo.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're like from different fathers or different mothers.
Hmm.
And Tomohito resents his younger brother for that,
I
or something along those lines.
I actually do think that maybe his younger brother will join the baseball team.
No, he's a soccer player, remember?
Yep. Well, he can still change. Maybe he just
Maybe.
plays soccer because he don't want to have anything to do with baseball, and maybe he was a genius of baseball as well.
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be. It's a baseball series. I wouldn't be that surprised if he joined the baseball team.
All right, but tell me your favorite scenes out of these episodes, because I
From this
think we
episode,
yeah, because I think we have like the same favorite scenes. Hopefully,
I mean, honestly, I was very disappointed with this episode. I don't really have a favorite. I
uh,
assume that you're talking about Toma saying, "I wanted to see that expression."
that's right. That
Yeah,
was for me. Yes.
yeah. I mean, I suppose that would be one of my favorites. Honestly, I kind of liked the way that it concluded the baseball game by focusing on that guy, just taking some time to acknowledge the fact that a loss in this tournament means the end of your high school baseball career.
Yep.
I kind of like that idea, but
Mm.
yeah, the Otomi scene, you can talk about that.
I just let's see like the strong point of mix in some way being the interactions between the four main characters. I think we will get the fourth appear, not appear, like will be more relevant next week. I think
Hopefully.
she, I think she's gonna join the club hopefully, as a manager. But yeah, so I really enjoy the interaction between them, especially how like how just like some small remark can really say a lot about um, their feeling to each other. And this one, like even in the title of the episodes, saying a lot. Like he really work hard, so that he can get Otomi, that kind of expressions, and he loved that even though he tired.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just perfect for me.
Yeah.
The
My favorite part of that's. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
it's just the nice way to end the whole the whole match.
Right.
This episode as well. Yep.
Yeah, it's true. Mix is more interested in its characters than, let's say, a baseball series that would make the win.
Hmm.
The guy's ground out. The end of the episode. Like with everybody cheering and celebrating, like still at the baseball diamond.
Hmm.
That might be the ending of a more typical baseball show.
That's
But
right.
Mix goes back home with it.
Hmm.
My favorite part of that scene was Soichiro saying, you can go to bed. You don't have to entertain her.
Yep.
I'll keep her busy."
Yep.
Because you can see that Otomi is like obsessed with baseball.
Yep. Yep.
So him recognizing that Toma was tired and being like, "It's okay, man. Just I'll distract her."
Yep.
I thought I thought that was pretty funny.
Yep. The whole thing is really funny. The whole thing is really nice actually. Like they really know each other and they have each other back.
Yeah, but yeah, it's true that Toma is, he's perfectly willing to entertain his stepsister.
Yep.
Um,
Would be romance.
he did it for her.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting closer and closer to that sort of thing.
All
I
right.
mean, I'm sure that the show will play that very close to the vest until, possibly all the way through.
all the way
Um,
through, I think.
Yeah, but at the very least, it'll keep it hidden until the very end. It's not like we're gonna get some sort of make out scene or anything. Even Cross Game, was not like that at all.
They don't have a confessions in cross game, I think.
Yeah,
They
but
just have like
you do
holding
have that
hands.
godlike scene where he throws the pitch so fast you don't even see how fast it was, but he beat the record and he did it because he knew she was watching.
All right, no one know the record.
I know that he broke it. I know in my heart that he did. That's why it's my favorite anime. Is because on top of everything else, the way that it finished it up that way was like so brilliant.
What we see in like in the anime was just a lie
It was a
so fast
lie.
that like the eye can see is what.
He did it for her, man.
Uh,
I mean, it's kind of the similar thing. Like here, Toma, he pitched the way he did. He at one point he had like 7 consecutive strikeouts, or
Yep.
8 or 9, I don't know.
7, I think.
Yeah, but the reason he pitched the way he did was partially motivated by, his sister.
Yep. Yep.
He wanted to like knock her socks off.
Mm.
And it seems that he succeeded because she is pretty hyped up in that last scene.
Yep. All right. How do you feel about like several boys' obsession with Otome? Is
Huh?
it like one of your favorite? Is it like one of your favorite part in Mix?
I'm
Like all
not I'm
the
not even sure what you're asking about.
all right, other boys' obsession with Otome.
Oh, yeah, that's just dumb,
My God.
That's really dumb.
If 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 I go to like any boys, any humans room, and I see like a huge pictures of like a girl I know in swimming dress, in swimming suit, I swear I will freak out.
Yeah. Hello, police?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right.
I have an incident to report.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, but especially if you've watched older anime, you've seen scenes of like people taking pictures
Yep.
of different characters and like selling them,
Yep.
for like 100 yen, for a picture.
Yep.
So I can't imagine that this is an entirely imagined phenomenon. It probably is based somewhat on reality. Like
It
there's a
does.
there's a culture of like I don't know, creep shots being taken, I guess, and then being
Huh.
sold to people. It's very dicey.
Yep.
Um, but like the scene that you're imagining in particular, like I think the guy's name is Nishimura,
Yep.
who goes to that other high school, and he has that gigantic picture of Otomi on
Yep.
his wall. Uh, like, you know, it's not as though the scene is totally unrealistic to me because perhaps that sort of thing really does go on.
Mm.
Um, but I don't know. It's just
Yep.
kind of strange.
All right.
Just not something I can totally appreciate given the cultural barrier, I guess.
All right. All right. Let's get to the last shows.
Sure.
Which is Araf uh Arafuru or
Yeah.
Maidens in Your Savage Seasons.
Yeah,
I
what do you
know
want to call it? Just Araburu or O Maidens or what how do you want to refer to it?
I usually refer it to Araburu, but
Okay.
I'm okay with All Maidens.
We can I like using the Jap. I mean, I do really like the localized title, but
Yep.
I'm fine. I generally prefer to use Japanese. So
All
we
right.
can do Araburu is
All
what
right.
I'll be calling it.
Araburu.
Yeah. We got 2 episodes of this one.
Yep. I think it's a step up. It's not really a step up. It's like they keeping the qualities as of the first episodes. I still enjoy the show very much. How about you?
Yeah, I mostly agree. Though there was one thing that really stuck out to me in these episodes, and that was there seems to be some sort of filter that is put over the like particular scenes, or even just like the character's hair
The
in some
physical
scenes.
filter, you say?
Yeah,
All right.
well, there
Uh,
seems to be so like to get kind of a watercolor esque look, like a softer look. They put that
yep.
filter over things, but I
All
think
right.
it's backfiring
Huh.
in a fair number of scenes. It kind of looks like the characters have skin disease
Like,
sometimes.
because I didn't really notice that actually.
Okay.
Hmm. All right.
Do you know? Can you envision what I'm talking about at all,
Yeah.
or
Yep.
you
I
can't
do. I
even?
do. But I.
Like it looks
I.
kind of splotchy and
Mhm.
like inconsistent in the like the color
Yep.
of the
Yep. Yep.
characters. The hair is where I noticed it most. Like I don't know, egregiously. It really distracted me in a fair number of scenes.
Hmm.
And I
So.
mean, I'm assuming it was present in the first one as well,
Yep.
and I just
So.
didn't care as much or didn't notice it as much. I don't know.
So basically, like from what you say, that they did it before, and then they post how to say put producing it with like putting the filter in order to
Yeah,
make it look soft.
I mean, I'm no animation expert or like post production or compositing expert. All that sort of stuff.
Right.
I'm not involved in the industry at all, obviously.
Mm.
Um, but it seems to me that they're using some sort of visual filter to
Yep.
achieve that softer look that I don't think is for me is not
Mm.
working.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I don't know if they went as heavy on it in the first episode.
Yep.
But anyway, I can get past that.
Right. How do you like these characters? Like each of them, they all have like their own issues regarding sex.
hmm
How
I
do
think you
you,
mean Se Batsu.
sorry?
Se Batsu. That's what they call sex. Remember, they have to come up
Yep.
with that name for it.
Yep. Yeah.
Se Batsu.
Eddie Basu, all right. It's just really hard to say. S egg, all right.
Well, yeah.
S
Ba-
Basu.
X. I don't know how they say the letter X. Perhaps Batsu means X, but I know that Batsu means like punishment. You know how characters will
Oh,
sometimes say you have to play like a punishment game if you lose. You have to do
yep.
one thing the other person says. That word is Batsu. a Batsugemu.
All right.
So
Esumasu.
I don't really know if Batsu also is the way that you pronounce the Romanji for the letter X.
Yep.
I'm assuming that it is. I don't know.
Right.
Anyways, yeah, all the characters are great. The characters are what's drawing me to this story in the first place.
Right.
So,
And all these situation they find themselves in are awkward. So like Kazusa and her friend Izumi.
yeah.
All right, let's
What about
see,
them?
or let's see what's going on. So she,
Kazusa realizes that she likes the guy.
well,
That's what's going on with her.
before that, she came into the room. See this guy was basically just playing himself. She freak out.
What are you talking about? I'm totally lost.
I just tracking their relationship so far.
Oh, yes, yeah. She walks in on Izumi while he's jerking off. Yes.
Yep. And she freaking out, and then she realized that she have a feeling for the guy.
Well,
Oh,
that comes later. That comes like
yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of episode 2.
that's right. Before that, we see like he getting asked by others, female students, in which
Yeah, somebody confesses to him. But I
in which
thought
he refused. Yep.
was that in episode 2
Yeah, that was
as
in
well?
episode 2. Yep, that's
Okay,
right.
so Nina films that in that same episode,
That's right. In
which is the
episode 2.
basis for their conversation in episode 3 when they're out in the hallway.
That's right.
Yeah, there does seem to be like like a natural,
Float.
yeah, like an ordering of events
That's right.
between these episodes for all of the characters and their respective stories, which is probably the thing that most impressed me about these 2 episodes, to be honest.
Yep. And that was one of my favorite conversation as well. The one between Izumi and
Nina.
Nina.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I caught some vibes between them, honestly.
Huh? All
I
right.
think she might be interested in him because she seems like she enjoys she enjoys teasing him, and
Yep.
she might be attracted to like his combination of innocence and his
Yep.
good looks.
Hmm.
Because most of the girls would agree that he's pretty good looking. He gets people confessing to him, and that was the reason for the distance between he and Kazusa in middle
Huh.
school.
That interesting because I have never thought of that. But Nina is like the kind of character that can do that.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to bring something up about Nina. You remember the beginning of episode 2 where she's with that guy in I don't know, what is it, a coffee shop?
Yep. Yep.
And that guy
Want
she
to.
texts Kazusa to come to her rescue, so that they go through the whole thing with like,
Yep.
you
That's
know,
right.
we both have STDs.
Yep.
But that scene kind of confused me a little bit because the guy says to Nina, talking with you face to face is a dream come true. So that implies that they're online acquaintances. What is Nina doing that would like put her in contact with this guy in the first place?
That's right. Uh,
Is she
see,
doing like compensated dating?
she was some sort of immortal, but no, I don't think so. Yeah, maybe you were right. Um, but
Because she does talk a lot about how like men have particular expectations or beliefs about women.
Yep.
And she it sounds like she's kind of speaking from experience.
Mhm.
So
All
I
right,
think she may be doing compensated dating, and
but
that's like the secret about her character that we
she
haven't learned yet.
she's supposed to be a mysterious type. So yes, we don't know everything about her for sure. And yes, maybe what you just said was true. So it's interesting to see like if the show will mention that in the future.
Yeah, it's funny how she gets out of it, because
Yep.
Hongo, the author girl, thinks the
Yep.
exact same thing. When she goes to meet up with the guy from the chat room,
Yep.
she thinks to herself, if he's hideous, I just leave.
Oh, wow, wow, no, no,
Like
no, no.
I
He
just walk away if he's gross.
before that, she's the first thing that comes to her mind. If he doesn't take bath in a week, I just leave.
No, she says a year. If it's been a
Oh
year,
yeah.
then
Oh
I
yeah.
leave. But if it's been a week and he's only like somewhat gross, then I'll just get it over with.
My God.
I actually really appreciated that scene because it was very frank. You know
Yep. Yep.
the way that like guys and girls uh,
Based a lot on look.
evaluate each other's like viability as partners.
Mhm.
Um, when you're gonna meet somebody for the first time who you've only been told about, you haven't seen their picture or anything. I mean, that rarely
Yep.
happens now because we're living in the age of social media. But if
Yep.
that were happening, you would be thinking to yourself, what are they gonna look like? That's probably the first thing on your mind.
That's right. That's
Um,
right.
and the show does not shy away from that at all.
Mhm. And I like the way that the show like develop her insecurity as well, Hong by telling that she's not experienced at all in depicting all of these sexual scenes.
Right.
So that she just basically just get angry and want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, she basically thinks to herself that her virginity is like an obstacle to writing for whatever this contest or this whatever it is that she's gotten herself into. Because she's in contact with that editor who basically laughs her out of the room.
Yep.
Um, that's so she thinks to herself, oh, okay, well, I just got to get this over with. I need experience. She's not in it for the romance. She's not in it for um, anything along those lines. She just wants to get it over with,
Yep.
as she puts it.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, every character situation is totally different.
Yep. And then we get like the president.
Right.
Her name is Rika.
Okay. I just keep calling her president in my head.
All
But,
right.
okay, Rika.
S- She just for now she's just basically just lashing out.
Yeah, you mean like when the guy approaches her during gym
When
class in episode 2?
yeah, that and whenever she like on this pep talk from the girls about like having sex, and she just like feeling disgust. So like all that.
Yeah, I mean that was mostly episode 1. Like the big thing in episode 2 was, did you break your hymen?
Yep.
And she doesn't think about this sort of thing in general. So she upon her like emergence from the bathroom, she says to herself, I don't know how to check.
Yep.
So she is very innocent,
Yep.
it seems. And I think the order of events was that it's like immediately after she comes out of the bathroom that she encounters that guy when she's at the water fountain, I guess you would call it.
Right.
So she's already like in a vulnerable state, and she's not prepared for this guy to talk to her, like flirt with her the way that he does.
Mhm.
Um, you know, that it's the perfect way to go about giving her character a story, something to do, because she's the biggest prude of the 5. So
Yep.
it's I do really like. I mean, I mentioned earlier the continuity between the second and third episodes is what I like most about them, and that's definitely true for her character as well, because he makes the comment, "You look like Erica,
Yep.
the model," and
Yep.
it's the start of episode 3 where she buys the magazine with Erica in it,
Yep.
because she wants to confirm, like, what is this guy? How does he perceive me? in
Mhm.
what's the version of me that exists in his head? I need to know.
Right.
So she buys the magazine, um, and we don't get much more than that from her
Yep.
in episode 3, but it's good that the show checked in with her the way it did. I think she's an interesting girl.
Right. And I love how the way like all this story keep like interweaving and keep developing. So like you say, like everything that like connect to each other. I think the show structure is really strong at the moment, and all the characters are really interesting with all their insecurities.
Yeah, I would say that's true. I mean, to be honest, I'm the least interested in the main girl,
All right.
probably
Hmm.
Kazusa, because like all we really get from, like, I don't know, the endings of episodes 2 and 3 focused on her.
Yep.
In
And
episode
one.
2, yes, definitely one.
Yep.
uh, but the music swelling at the end of episode 2 when she has an epiphany. Nina even says she's having an epiphany, and then
Mhm.
she's like, "Oh my God, I love Izumi. I love my childhood friend." I Perhaps it's just because I have never had that sort of like revelation
Revelation.
happen to me. I'm sure people have. I'm sure that this is a thing that happens to some uh, boys or girls out there, but like the violins getting louder during that scene, I was just like, this is too on the nose. And then in episode 3, she runs away from him, and how many times has she run away
A
in these
lot.
3 episodes? Yeah, it's been at least once per episode. She runs away all the time from Izumi, mostly from Izumi.
Yep.
I'm already tired of it. Like, I don't want to see her run away from something ever again.
Whoa. Well, the thing is, I like the fact that like even though they have many embarrassing moments together, they keep like they keep talking to each other. Uh, Kazusa and Izumi. So and they both awkward as well, and they didn't like really see each other like they didn't kind of get the other thought process. So like when Izumi talk about like he doesn't think about like having sex with her when he was watching porn, that actually make her feel sad.
Yeah, because at this point she's had her epiphany.
Yeah, well, it it's a bit not to my taste, but it's alright. It's alright. I'm still okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I still like the show. I still have pretty high hopes for it. But
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. Like, she is like, the deal with her character is she likes her childhood friend, and she's not really willing to accept what that means in
Yep.
terms of her sexuality.
Yep.
She based on her past with him, the fracture that um, occurred in their relationship in middle school, that's going to prevent her from just like going up to him and saying, "I like you. I'm interested in you."
Mhm.
She can't do that. She's too meek, and there's too much history between them. But I kind of wish that, like, something would happen in the show that would allow her to be a little bit more bold. I mean, something
Well,
already has happened. They fall down the stairs together, and he ends up on top of her.
oh my god, that one. It's so choppy.
Yeah,
Well, but consider this is Okada, Mari Okada show. I wouldn't be too surprised that like at any given point, she would just come up with Izumi and just like tell slat out everything that she feel about Izumi. So I
probably
think
while
that
yelling and crying.
she will yelling and crying. So I just wonder when that's gonna happen.
Well, probably after he becomes interested in Nina,
Right. So
because there's got to be a love triangle. There has to be like maximum drama. So
yep.
um, Nina is, he's probably going to become interested in Nina, and then she is going to be, pushed into action based on that fact, like before they get together, or perhaps after they get together, but before they start getting too serious, she's going to be like, I love you, and here's a million reasons why.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I'm more interested in the other characters.
All right. It's except for one, the remaining one girl. See,
Yeah,
basically, I
the
think just a
pigtail.
supporting right now.
Well, I think she'll get something to do.
All right.
Perhaps not now, but
So
I
that's
think
good.
she'll get something. Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. All right. So yeah, it's still my favorite show of the season.
Um, I would probably agree. I think Vinland Saga is pretty good too.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
All right, time
Yep.
for Heidi, Girl of the Alps.
The first 5 episodes were really, let's just say, entertainment. I
They're
have,
really entertaining.
yep, I had pretty good time watching it. Like the plot might be very thin. It is really thin, but like it get the feel of the place, and it gets like how like how quickly Heidi get accustomed to the new place, and get friends with everyone, and making even like the old grumpy man become a really sociable man.
Well, I wouldn't say that he's sociable, because that would imply that he leaves his wilderness cabin and goes down to live with society.
Yeah.
But he's
Well,
not going to do that anytime
nope.
soon. I mean, he's still like barking out orders to Peter
Yep.
when he comes for the two goats.
Yep.
Dude, can you imagine living in a time like this where all you need to survive is like a couple goats? You can turn their milk into cheese and sell it to the.
Well, and how can they have meat? Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. Don't kill the goats. I mean, there's 52 episodes for the show, so I can imagine at a certain point, like perhaps a really bad winter comes along and they need food and they have to kill one of the goats for its meat. I can imagine that
Uh,
being like a story point. You
I,
know?
I, I can imagine they have to go to the village to buy some meat. I don't think they're gonna kill any of their goat. Hopefully not.
Yeah, maybe not. But I do expect that like at a certain point Heidi is gonna have to deal with loss.
Yeah.
Like perhaps
Yep.
Yuki, the little goat,
Yep.
might die, or it might get sold,
Hmm.
to another place.
Yep. Yep.
Or I mean, I was kind of expecting that the bird was going to fly away in episode 5, Peachy, the little bird, and she was going to have to learn to let go of a friend,
Yep.
which she may not have had to do before because she kind of had a lonely childhood.
Yep.
She may not have had very many friends or any friends.
Yep. I think eventually this show gonna get there. Like dealing with men, which like many more mature teams. But so far, it run more like a children's show, which like the discovering of, like uh
Nature.
yeah, that's right. Exploring a new place. It
Yeah.
have a really good sense of adventures basically, which
Yeah.
I rather enjoyed actually.
Yeah, I like it.
I
Um,
a
it's
bit
great.
yeah, a bit too slack, and you say, and like you say, like some of the production issues is a bit outdated, but otherwise it's still really it is still really solid for me.
Yeah, I do have to say that Conan was like a lot more technically involved.
Right, right. 5 years, right?
Yeah, 5 years. Show sounds better, looks better.
Mm.
There's more movement,
Yep.
more thought put into how that movement's going to be portrayed.
Even the direction is really good in Conan.
Yeah.
Like the way it follow Conan going through diving, going through places like under the water.
Yeah, Heidi doesn't really I haven't really seen that from it yet. Any sort of
Yep, not
visual
yet.
spark. We mostly just get a lot of like still images and panning shots of the countryside. The Swiss Alps, animals, things like pillow shots breaking up the very plain looking uh, scenes that are on either side of those shots. It's kind of a typical what you think of when you think of older anime.
That's right.
Um, but I'm sure we'll see some
I'm I'm
some
so
some more from it
yep.
as it
I'm
goes
so
on.
okay with the character design. It's alright.
I love the character designs. I love Heidi's two little eyelashes on each eye.
Right.
They're cute. She's a cute little kid.
Yep.
Um, she ought to be if you're just gonna watch her run around for 25 minutes every episode.
That's
You ought
right.
to think to yourself like, "Aw," every time she does something.
That's right. And even though we watch like 5 episodes, like the plot is going in really like leisurely pace. That we have
Yeah,
like
but
not a lot of things to really talk about in terms of plot.
well, I don't know. I don't think I really agree.
All right.
It just the show's just committed to depicting life as it happens,
Right. Right.
not
Right.
just I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it was Hitchcock or some legendary director, but what's the quote? Cinema is just life with all the boring parts cut out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Heidi rejects that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Certainly there are some like bits of the story that you could consider essential plot points,
Yep.
like Aunt Dete dropping her off
Yep.
at the
Mm-hmm.
at actually you know what are we gonna call Heidi's grandfather, because we don't know his
Heidi,
name.
Heidi grandfathers,
Okay,
grandpa.
so just like okay, grandfather. All right. When Aunt Dete drops her off at her grandfather's house, and the little exchange they have there, um, the show does not abandon Date's character after just one episode. We see her again in the second
Hold
as
on.
she's leave.
What the relationship between Andete and grandpa is that? Father and daughter.
No, it's a little bit complicated. So at the top you have the grandfather,
Yep.
and then he had a son,
Mm-hmm.
um, who married a girl
And she
who
was
Date
Date's sister.
is yes. So
All
Date
right.
is not related to the grandfather by blood. It's by
All right. Right.
marriage.
I got that. I got that. So in laws.
Yeah.
Hmm.
She's what is she? A daughter-in-law once removed or something like that. I don't know.
Yep. 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 Yep.
She's not really related to the grandfather.
Yep.
And he treats her very harshly.
Yep.
But her character doesn't disappear. We get a letter from her later on saying she'd like Heidi to
In
come and. I lost you
live
for a
with
second. Are
her.
you there?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not to live with her. Not right away. She just says I'd like Heidi to go to school in a place like this. So I
Yep.
think that indicates that she's going to be like she's going to recur at least once.
Yep.
We'll probably see her again. You know.
Yep.
So that's a plot that's carried through these 5 episodes, and also the bird Peachy,
Mm-hmm.
both episodes 4 and 5, causes a schism between Heidi and Peter, and that lasts for more than just 25 minutes. Um,
Yep.
so that is sort of a plot, that feeds into and informs like the both of their characters, the way that they make up eventually.
Yep.
Um, so there is a story here to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. There is. There is.
It's a very very lazily paced one.
That's right.
I don't think that's bad because it's kind of fun to just watch Heidi's adventures.
That's why I have a really great time like watching all these 5 episodes. Like I don't feel like any moment is wasted. It's just that when we when I sit back and summarize like all the events happened in these 5 episodes, it's I just make it king like a few lines, so not a much, but
Oh, I
but
have I have like 2 pages of notes here.
all right, but in a way it's a good thing as well, like you said.
Yeah, it's a different kind of show. It's made in a different time, and it is explicitly for children.
That's
Like
right.
one thing that I took a slight issue with was the narrator.
Yeah,
Um,
but it just happened like in the beginning and in the end, so that doesn't that much.
right.
I I
The
can
like the
I can endure that.
Yeah, yeah. It's something that I can overlook pretty easily.
Right.
Um, the one thing about the existence of the narrator is not a problem for me, but the how she's used, like in particular, in episode 3, there's a scene where the grandfather talks about like his isolated lifestyle.
Right.
He lives on his own and he's
Oh,
stronger because of it.
the
And
hawk. Right.
yeah, it's actually the hawk that he's talking about. But then the narrator explains to probably the very young children watching,
Yep.
when he's talking about the hawk this way, it's really himself that he's talking about and that he's thinking of.
Yep.
That
I
kind of takes away from the impact of the scene for me. But I can also imagine like little Japanese boys and girls sitting in front of the TV and really being kind of amazed
Yep.
when the narrator helps them make that connection. So that's okay, I think.
I think that just like the target audience that they want to work with, and obviously the target audience for this show is the children, not us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand the decision to like spoon feed us with like some kind of deeper meaning.
Yeah, it's definitely spoon feeding.
But
Um,
but in a way it's a children's show. But I can see like the respect of the children in the show. So like even to Heidi, the show have a lot of respect to her, and even like to the audience, I think as well.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I think that the show definitely understands children, not
Yep.
just in the way that it's, let's say, produced or put together,
Hmm.
but like specific moments, the way that Heidi acts or that Peter acts,
Yep.
it
Yep.
understands kids. Like Peter getting like stars in his eyes when he sees the little coin that Aunt Dete offers him,
Yeah, that's right. Hmm.
or when he says to Heidi, like when she begs him, please don't hit Greenfinch, the
Yep.
baby goat who runs away. Don't hit him.
Hmm.
He says, "Okay, I won't, but you have to give me some more of that cheese."
Yep.
Peter is angling to get the best possible deal for himself in some of these situations,
Hmm.
uh, which reads very accurately to me.
Right. Yep.
That's just a part of his character, but that's also the way kids will try to get the best deal for themselves that they can because their place in society is near the bottom. So
Yep.
they have to kind of work to improve their own standing.
That's right.
Um, and like I work with kids and
Yep.
I see that sort of behavior all the time. And to be honest, it's like it's pretty for me. It's pretty endearing. Like I like seeing that sort of thing because the kids are kind of becoming their own people.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and Peter definitely is working to become his own man.
Yep.
Uh,
I even like the bit where he got jealous with the bird, and that he just lashing out to all these flowers.
right.
That really killed him actually.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the show is very pro nature. Obviously, we're dealing with Takahata and Miyazaki here.
Yep.
And we just came off watching Conan, which was the same way.
Yep.
Um, but like when Heidi picks all the flowers and brings them home, her grandfather kind of chides her and says they've all withered and
Yep.
died,
Mhm.
or they will. Um,
Because
So
they
the
need
message,
because they need the sun.
right? Yeah, the
Yep.
message for the kids is don't interfere with nature. Let it take its course.
That's right.
Um, So I kind of lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Sorry. For the flowers, so the
Yeah,
grandfather.
yeah. So when Peter like when he he hits all the flowers. I mean, I think we're meant to take that as a negative. He's like
Oh,
fuming and sulking.
that's right.
But yeah, it is kind of it has a little bit of charm to it that he's so upset that his new friend is like prefers a bird to him.
Um, can I ask a question like on these world tier the shows like that? Are they mainly produced by Miyazaki and uh, Takanaha? And
Takahata did a lot of the early ones from the 70s. Yeah.
right, because I
Miyazaki left Anne of Green Gables,
right,
I believe, in the middle of its production to work on Castle of Cagliostro, the Lupin
yep,
movie,
that
which was
that
his directorial debut for the big screen, I think.
the 1979. Wow,
Right.
so
Um,
like
but
40
yeah,
years.
Takahata and Miyazaki were heavily involved. This show is produced by the studio that would later become Nippon Animation.
Right.
And Nippon Animation did World Masterpiece Theater stuff for the 70s, for the 80s, the 90s as well.
Mm.
So a lot of these series were produced, but I don't think that the two Ghibli guys who we think of were
Yep.
involved outside of the 1970s.
All right. Because I just look at this and I just look at Ronia, the uh,
Right.
the brother, the the dropper
Robert's daughter.
daughters, and I still feel like they got it. They have like the same kind of feel, the same kind
Yeah.
of attention to respect to the children, like I said. So
Yeah, you know
just
what? The more I think about it, so we did that top 50 list a while ago. The more I think about it, the more like I enjoy the fact that you put Ronya on the list. I know it's at the bottom and it'll probably get kicked off, but it's
right,
so like that show is so yeah. I mean, it's entirely appropriate to mention it here because like it follows the blueprint that Heidi put down.
right.
Um, which is a very special thing in the modern era, because you mostly
Yeah.
get shows where like teenage boys are summoned to other worlds, or they just hang out in a high school with a bunch of like cute girls surrounding them. That's like what anime is now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the entire CG gonna be a deal breaker for some people though.
yeah, but the
Yep,
background art in Ronya is stunning.
that's right, that's right. And and yeah, it's just that like 40 years gap. No, sorry, 45-year gap between Healthy. Oh no, 40. So this show is from 74 and Ronia is like 2014. So 40 years gap between
Yeah.
the two shows, and they just have like the same vibe. Like
Yeah.
the Ronia still have like many of these strength that have that we can see from from this show. It's just amazing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I want to rewatch an episode of Ronya now. Just one to like get some of those exterior scenes where she's running around and like jumping off rocks and diving into lakes and just
And
all that.
even the score in Ronia is really like one or two of them is really getting to me.
Really, is it similar to this one? Because I noted that they're in Switzerland, so I noted like there's
Switzerland.
yeah, this show Heidi is set in Switzerland.
All right.
So I noticed that there was like a lot of accordion. The mandolin is played quite a bit. I think is the string instrument that I recalled
Yep.
hearing.
Yep.
So I can't remember whether Ronya had those sorts of like more pastoral instruments in the mix.
They have like some of the string thing. Like, it's really special though.
Hmm. Huh. Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
Um,
I think that those two shows share a lot of strengths. That's true.
may based on the poster that I just looking for Heidi, I think there's gonna be another characters pop
Yeah,
up.
the blonde girl.
The blonde girl with a
Yeah,
blue dress. So
she'll she'll show up eventually.
yeah, so I'm really looking forward to her appearance, and I can see the bird there as well.
You can see the what? Oh, the
The
bird. Oh,
Yep,
really?
yep.
Spoiler alert.
I see. I can actually see the two birds.
There's two. Oh, Pitchy's gonna get a friend. That's so
So
nice.
so yeah, I think the family gonna get bigger and bigger soon. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah. One thing I want to note really fast is that
Yep.
there is a little bit of Disney influence here.
Huh.
There's one scene in particular where I already talked about Peter wanting that coin.
Yep.
Dete
Yep.
offers
Yep.
him the coin to go get Heidi's clothes because she's like thrown off all her clothes.
Yep.
Um, so when he goes back to get the clothes, he kind of tosses them all up into the air while he's running around in a circle.
Right.
And
Right.
while they're in the air, they all kind of like neatly arrange themselves into a stack,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know.
Yep. 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 Yep.
And then they like gently fall down to him as he's kind of like running in circles around them, getting ready to catch them.
Yep.
That I swear there is no way that they did not reference some Disney footage
Yep.
to
Yep.
to compile that shot.
Well,
Um,
I agree.
it was so unbelievably, it was so unbelievably Disney that I was like, oh wow. Um, what
Like
film did that come from? Like, what film did they blatantly steal that from?
Cinderella, I think they have that. I think they have that kind of scene.
Huh. Okay.
Well, there are a lot of Sydney of Disney films that have like that kind of image.
Yeah,
So
just like the way that he moved, the way that the clothes moved through the air, and the way that he ran around in a circle in the grass, like really smooth looking,
yep.
very very kinetic
Hmm.
animation. He did not stop moving. You know,
Yep.
he didn't even like center himself underneath the clothes and wait for them to drift down into his arms. He
Yep.
was he was like running around like a person, like a chicken with his head cut off. Um, So, I mean, the reason I want to bring that up is because like Tezuka was very influenced by Disney,
Yep.
but you don't see a lot of that kind of animation from him. He just kind of used Disney as perhaps more of like a motivator in order to get his own thing started, really kickstart the anime industry, to be honest.
Hmm.
Um, but
Right.
here in this show, you can actually see some of Disney's craft uh, being employed, like specifically their techniques. I don't think you can see a lot of that in stuff like, for example, the '60s version of Dororo or Astro Boy or Kimba, any
Yep.
of any of those sorts of shows, because I've seen little bits and pieces of all of those,
Hmm.
and there's just like pans and stills nonstop.
Yep.
So I think Heidi, the reason this show might be significant is because it marks an evolution in animation production. Um, and before this one, even Lupin the Third.
Really? All right.
Yeah, I think I might like to watch that someday as well.
Hmm.
Miyazaki directed the early episodes. I think it was season one that he was in charge of.
Yep.
But I think that show and this one from the early '70s probably, like in the grand scheme of things, marked a step up in animation production as opposed to, like Mushi Production or whatever studio it was or Tezuka Productions.
Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
so
I
there's
understand.
my little ramble on anime industry, on which,
Yep.
like, I am by no means an expert, but that's my theory.
Well, I actually like by us like looking back at on these shows from like early 70s, even like we watched Conan before this, we can see like a different and how like the animations uh evolve from Heidi to
Right.
Conan era. So that's really good, and it's just like in the span of 5 years.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel as though Conan, like, you can definitely use it as a landmark, in terms of like watching anime, um, just animation and anime production evolve. But I
Yep.
do think that Conan was probably like a very blessed series.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Definitely the exception rather than the rule.
Hmm. I
Um,
get what you mean. But
like even Rose of Versailles, which had tons of like warfare and
short.
sword fights and stuff,
Yep.
just like it, Conan outshines it.
Right. Well,
It's just the way that the way that shots are composed specifically in Rose of Versailles that makes it remarkable, I think.
that's right. That's right.
And that'll probably be end up being the case for Heidi as well, if
Yep.
I had to guess, like going forward.
Hmm. All right.
But we'll see. We got 47 more episodes to go.
That's right. Really enjoy the first 5 episodes so far.
Yeah, me too.
Uh,
Me too. I thought they were great. I anticipated kind of like, there are five of them. So when you have other stuff going on in your life, you're like, oh, this is kind of a big time commitment.
yep.
So I thought I might have to like kind of give myself a kick in the butt to like watch them. But once I watched the first one, I was excited to watch the rest.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah,
Yep.
I looking forward to more.
All right. So next week, hopefully, we're gonna get maybe 2 episodes of Five Force, or if not, one is alright.
Yeah, I
Still
think
good
we're
enough.
just yeah, I think we're just set back a week at this point. So we'll probably only get three next week. Oh, you mean we might not get an episode at all?
No, no. I
Yeah,
think we're gonna get one or maybe even two.
I don't know if we'll get two. We'll see.
Yep.
However many we get, it's however many we get. They made the decision to hold it based on what happened
The
over the last
tragedy.
week.
That's
Yes,
right.
and I respect that decision,
Yep. Me
of
too.
course.
So yep, still looking forward to the fossils, and we will see you back next week.
Thanks for
Thanks for
listening,
listening,
everybody.
guys. All right. See ya.
Bye.